What is happening, everybody? Welcome to Screen Realm. My name is Guillermo, and up for review today is Evil Dead Rise. It's a new chapter in the Evil Dead franchise, which kicked off with a tiny indie by filmmaker Sam Raimi back in 1981. The brand has certainly come a long way, spawning video games, comics, toys, and of course, sequels. Evil Dead Rise marks the fifth film in the franchise, and it's a chapter that follows more in the vein of 2013's Evil Dead. What we have here is a gnarly, in-your-face horror flick, ultra-violent, very bloody, and darkly funny. It may not break any new ground, but as far as entertaining splatterfests go, Evil Dead Rise is a winner. The plot follows Beth, played by Aussie actress Lily Sullivan, who hits LA to visit her sister Ellie, played by Alyssa Sutherland. Ellie is having a bit of a hard time raising three children, two teenagers and a little girl, alone in a rundown apartment in LA. It's an evening that should give these two sisters a chance to unite and support each other, but once a certain cursed book comes into the picture, well, let's just say that they're all in for one hell of a night. It's an impressively mounted horror film from writer-director Lee Cronin, who's making just his second feature film as sole director following 2019 supernatural film The Hole in the Ground. It's clear that Cronin is a big fan of the franchise, crafting an entry that pays big respect to what's come before while establishing his own brand of energetic depravity. Longtime fans should be in good hands. There are plenty of nods throughout, and the demonic power at the franchise's center is expanded, while the plot is standalone enough to welcome in horror-loving newcomers. The film kicks off with a requisite horror opening, nicely providing a taste of what's to come: possession, blood, death, humor. From here, we head off to meet the characters that we'll be experiencing the horror with throughout the film. The character establishment, while undeniably basic, is pretty solid, painting us individuals that aren't too difficult to root for, particularly with some strong performances. Too many horror films seem to forget about the importance of providing good character development. It's not always the case, but elements of tension can be lost if you don't actually care about the people that are in harm's way. That being said, I did find that the first quarter, this establishing chunk, does teeter on the edge of being a little too long. The character elements being laid out aren't all that interesting to really pad out this section, but all's forgiven once the mayhem does get going. Also done well here, geography. These type of films need to also have a geographical focus. Like a video game, it's important to understand the layout of the narrative's location, the limitations, the proximities, the potential escape routes. After all, the tension comes from knowing why exactly our victims can't just up and leave. Cronin and his team ensure that the areas of this hellish playground are introduced organically, getting maximum usage out of an overall small location once the hell is unleashed. Whether or not you find Evil Dead Rise scary, of course, depends on what rattles your nerves and what you actually consider scary. This film is firmly on the visceral side of horror, shaking you with grotesque visuals and a highly stressful sound design, as opposed to creeping you out with the fear of the unknown. Personally, I would have liked a few more moments of creepy tension that work up to unnerving crescendos and jump scares that really work to rattle you, because that's what works for me on a cinematic fear level. But still, Evil Dead Rise's horror is horrific in the best sense, with a mission to pummel your senses with blood-soaked mayhem. In many ways, the film plays out like an action movie, giving us showdown after showdown as this family attempts to survive the evil that has them in its sights. The film ups its potential body count by giving Ellie a number of neighbors, but while they did provide opportunity for more carnage, I found that these characters weren't used all that well. Certain individuals are there for a quick gag, pun intended, when the film could have used them to up the number of set pieces. Again, this is a very bloody film, and horror lovers with a penchant for the extreme will have a good time with just how far Cronin and his team go here. Naturally, having children in the story will make it more dicey for some, but horror is horror, and Evil Dead Rise doesn't give a shit. I'm glad it doesn't. The film offers up a plethora of gloriously sadistic sequences, and just when you think you've had your fill, well, take a breath, the Crimson Flood isn't over. That finale? As mentioned, strong performances here, in particular Sullivan nailing it as a badass final girl that really gets put through the ringer, and Sutherland going all out in an exhausting performance as the poor mother who finds herself a vessel for savage evil. Showcasing strong direction from Cronin, Evil Dead Rise is a slickly crafted and gleefully mean chapter of this long-running franchise. The high shock factor is made somewhat palatable with a devilish sense of humor, and the film's demonically spirited energy makes for a strong pace. Evil Dead Rise won't be for all tastes, obviously, but those keen for guts-to-the-wall mayhem are in for a thoroughly entertaining and, dare I say it, fun ride. I'm giving Evil Dead Rise 4 stars out of 5. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. That's my review of Evil Dead Rise. If you've seen it, I'd love to know what you thought of the film. If you haven't, are you planning to? Hit up the comment section below, and as always, hit the subscribe button to stay up to date with all things coming from Screen Realm. Catch you soon.